How's it going, everyone? Sneaky Panda. I know it's been a long time. This is going to be a much overdue tutorial. I have a lot that I want to share with you guys, but for the sake of time, this video is going to be specifically about dodging. I'm going to show you how to dodge various specials, bosses, so assassins, packmasters, ogres, things of that nature. Before I begin the actual tutorial itself, I am going to be doing a very detailed explanation and walkthrough as to how to install and configure all of the tools that I'm using in this tutorial, so that I can enable you guys to go ahead and practice this stuff yourself. If that's not something that you're particularly interested in, there'll be a timestamp in the description for you to skip to the beginning of the tutorial itself. So we are going to be making use of a couple key tools today. This is the Steam Workshop. This is the place where you can go to install all of the mods that are available for the game as of present. To get to the Steam Workshop, just simply go to your library, select Vermintide 2. You're going to want to give a click on the Community Hub, and from there, up on the top of the page, you can select the Steam Workshop. Now, the first mod that we're going to be making use of is the Creature Spawner. This is the tool that is going to allow us to spawn the various enemies that we want to fight. So just look up Creature Spawner, and you can subscribe to the mod by clicking the green plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner. Before you leave, though, you're going to want to give a click on the mod itself, and if you look at the bottom middle of the page, you can see that there are some prerequisite items. So the Creature Spawner needs the Vermintide mod framework to function, so go ahead and click on that and give that a subscribe as well. The other major tool that we're going to be making use of today is the Item Spawner. This is going to allow us to reset when we fail, healing drafts and medkits to top ourselves off, ammunition, as well as the ability to mess around with potions. In addition to the Vermintide mod framework, this mod also requires the Penlight Lua libraries, so make sure you grab that. The other tools that I'm going to mention are non-essential, but I would still highly recommend them. This mod is Killbots. It simply allows you to type /killbots in the chat to prevent them from interfering. The prerequisite mod for this is the Vermintide mod framework, so as long as you've already got that, then you are all set. The other one, which will prove to be massively helpful, is Spawn Tweaks, and we can use this mod to disable ambient hordes and specials and other things that would otherwise interfere, so we can focus on just the enemy that we're trying to practice. Now, before you launch the game, I apologize in advance, OBS doesn't seem to capture my launcher window. Press play in the Vermintide library from the Steam library, and in the launcher window itself, you're going to want to click the mods button icon on the bottom right of the launcher, and it should bring up this window here. You just want to make sure that the Vermintide mod framework is first in the list and Penlight Lua is second. And as long as that is the case, you can go ahead and launch the game. Now, once you are in game, if everything went as planned, you'll see these mod settings. There's a few keybinds available for us to set, so there are keybinds to cycle through the unit that we wish to spawn. There is a keybind to spawn the unit, and there's also the keybind to destroy all of the units that are currently on the map. In addition to this, you're also going to want to set your keybinds for the item spawner. These are the ones that I use. They work for me. They allow me to move around and stuff while I'm still doing things. So you can cycle through the item that you want to spawn, and then spawn that item. The last thing that we're going to want to do is head down to the Spawn Tweaks section. You're going to want to disable everything and set the threat and intensity multiplier to 0, and this is going to disallow anything from spawning on the map. Alright, and with all of that set up out of the way, we can finally begin with the meat and the guts of the tutorial. So the first thing we're going to cover is how to dodge assassins. The assassin will always hunker down before he tries to pounce you. So you simply just want to face towards the target, and right after he hunkers down, you just want to go ahead and dodge to the right or left. Doesn't matter which way, as long as you have space to do it. And I would recommend staying away from walls, because as you'll see in just a moment, when he jumps and hits a surface, like a wall, then he'll try and jump you immediately after. Though with a sufficient amount of practice, it is possible to actually shove the assassins out of the air with pretty much 100% consistency on host. You just have to dodge after they start their pounce, or you don't dodge at all. which makes it pretty risky to attempt to do off-host, because more times than not, the assassin will still land on you, but then it'll get taken off of you later, but you'll still take the pounce damage. So this is what it looks like if you attempt to push an assassin out of the air off-host. Like I said, you do have to dodge later. You have to execute your dodge after the pounce is initiated. And you can see there, I did actually push the assassin off me, but I still took the pounce damage. Packmasters, by comparison, are a lot easier to dodge. You can get 100% consistency on upwards of 200 ping. The key is to walk towards them at the last moment and dodge shoulder first. There's a 5-second cooldown in between the hook attempts, and every time there is a failed attempt, the Packmaster will try to run in the opposite direction of the player. So it's quite easy to dodge Packmasters even with like a horde around, as long as you're kind of keeping a mental tab of where he is. I don't really have a whole lot to say about the leech. He takes his damn sweet time. I guess he will mosey around and then he'll teleport. And if he doesn't have line of sight, then he'll teleport, usually behind you preferably, and then he'll try to grab you. It's really easy to dodge. Another little tip that I thought I would include is with the glow brats. If you make them mad and they charge you, you can just back dodge at the last moment to avoid their explodey. Next up is the rat ogre, and a similar principle applies to the Packmaster in that you don't want to be afraid of it. You don't just want to backpedal. So what you can do is walk up towards the ogre, and then right as he attacks, you execute a back dodge, and you can actually keep him perfectly stationary. When he's doing the 1-2-3 slam attack thing, there's not much you can do. But what I would say is dodge and go at like a sideways angle as to minimize the amount of distance that he's gaining on your teammates, so they can still shoot him. So once you've gotten used to dodge dancing, you can start to actually damage the ogre in between the dodges. So you want to aim for the head. And you'll notice that he has like 3 primary attacks. There's one where he hits the ground with one hand. There's one where he hits the ground with 2 hands, that one. And a slap attack, which is that one right there. And you'll notice that in between the 2 where he slams the ground, you can get in 2 swings, at least with this particular weapon. But where he does the slap attack, you can actually get in 3 swings. So the point is, after he does a slam attack, he's going to do another attack sooner than if he was to do the slap attack. The other important thing to know is that with the slap attack, that one right there, if you block that attack, that is the most likely moment where he is going to trade aggro. More times than not, very, very frequently, when you block that attack, he will switch to another player if there is another one alive. Next is the Storm Fiend, and the first thing I wanted to talk about is this fire attack, since there seems to be a little bit of uncertainty amongst the community as to how it works. The way it works is if you dodge the initial attack, you don't take any damage, but the dot that's on the ground won't actually deal any damage to you if you stand in it for a short period of time. So when you're fighting the Storm Fiend with a team, you want to position yourself so that there's one person on one side and there's one person on the other, or you can have 4 people like lined up on the directions of the compass. It doesn't matter. The point is that you want to be on opposite sides as one another. That way, when you hit him in the back, he changes aggro to you, and then his back is facing your teammates. Generally, it's a good idea to stay away from walls or other obstacles, because he can do kind of fucky things, and it can be difficult for somebody to get into, around the back. And of course, if he's facing you, if you're feeling brave, you can try and go for some headshots. Now, the Chaos Spawn is in a lot of ways just a more aggressive version of the Ogre. You can deal with him in the same sort of ways, where you can walk up to him and bait out his attack, and then do a back dodge. But he does this 1-2-3 slam attack so frequently, it's pretty much impossible to keep him still. And it's a lot more difficult to get in attacks between the actual dodges themselves. So, for the purpose of practicality, I'd probably recommend to attempt to dodge dance him as much as you can. And I also prefer to dodge around his left side, to dodge away from his grabby thingy there. the Bile Troll is my least favorite boss in the game, not only because he spawns the boss wall, but also because he is the only boss in the game that you cannot solo with any weapon in the game. Due to the fact that he regenerates health over time, if you are not using a weapon to deal a sufficient amount of damage to, well, outdeal his regen, then, you know, there really isn't anything you can do. But the same sort of applies as to the Ogre and the Chaos Spawn. You can sort of dodge dance him, walk up, bait out his attack, and back dodge. And then when he does his vomit attack, you know, you just side dodge. The vomit on the ground, though, as far as I'm aware, is different from the flame from the Storm Fiend, though. That is, if you walk into that at any point in time while it's still present, you will take damage from that. So that's about all I've got for this video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you have any questions about anything that I talked about, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll get back to you. I'm sorry I didn't have much more insightful things to say about the Bile Troll, the Storm Fiend, and the Chaos Spawn. Might make a follow-up video if somebody has some kind of breakthrough knowledge on that. If you do enjoy this kind of content, I stream on Twitch pretty much whenever I have the spare time to play. You can find me at twitch.tv/SneakyPandaVT. I do a lot of sort of informative, educational stuff on the channel there, as well as, you know, just normal challenges and shenanigans and stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in, you know, check it out. If not, then go ahead and leave your suggestions if there's another series that you'd like me to do on YouTube. I do kind of plan on coming back to YouTube and making this kind of content here. Because, I don't know, it seems important to me, and I like to try to help the community grow and improve its players as much as possible. So, that aside, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys.